Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Well, it's great going to a musical performance. You love hearing sound. You love hearing music, the vibe that comes off of it, the feeling you have. We're going to give you that feeling, minus having to go somewhere, minus having to even get dressed up. And it's very personal. She's a sound healer. She provides what's called sound baths. You've never heard this song before, I guarantee it. I'm going to bet you $1 billion times $1 billion. You've never heard it. And if there's a chance you may have, it's different when she plays it this time. I'm staking everything I got on that. She is Barb Sounds, and she's an amazing sound healer for whatever ails you. And that could be anxiety, depression, pain, whatever. There's so many different things. And she's back with us. Barb, welcome. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm good. How about you?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. Looking forward to having you perform again here. And I'm always intrigued. And we set an intention for when you play. And the intention could be, and I think you've even done world peace as one intention in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But when you set the intention, are you playing differently for the intention? Or is it just, I'm thinking about it, then I'm playing?
That's a good question. I mean, when I play intuitively. So, and when you play things like gongs and bowls, you can't play specific sounds like you can on musical instruments. It's actually more sound and frequency medicine rather than, music per se. I mean, people hear a sound. But what I do when I play is I channel the energy of whoever's listening. So today that would be you and everybody else who's listening on the live. It also includes people who may listen to or watch the recording. And I channel that energy through my body and through my awareness and like basically to the instruments. And then I just follow my intuition. So I don't think about what I'm going to play next. I don't think about how long I'm going to play something. Some of the instruments do certain things. So I do tend to play them in a certain order, like vis-a-vis type of instrument, right? So I start with the singing bowls because they really, really quickly relax you and get the energy flowing in your body. Then I play the crystal bowls because they usually will put people, in depth, like your mind and your body completely relaxed. And then I play the gongs because they are the most powerful frequencies and therefore they can create the most healing change in the people that are listening. But it's different every time because the energy is different. If I played for you 5 minutes after this podcast, it would be different.
I've never asked this question, but I've got to ask it. Do you play traditional musical instruments?
Yes. I play guitar and sing.
Wow, I never knew. I always
myself.
wondered. Yeah.
For myself, and I write songs. I'm playing around now with some of my recordings of my sound healing, and I have a little like mini keyboard. So I'm playing around with adding some synthetic sounds to the sounds of my gongs and bowls, like so that they're the kind of background.
Do you think that when traditional, because you're not a traditional musician in my estimation,
No,
you're a healing musician. Do you think that when somebody plays something, they set an intention? If they're going to play a song, whatever it might be, or maybe the song is about sadness. I don't know. Are they mentally setting an intention before they play it?
No, and not energetically or anything. I mean, I don't know. People probably have a really big variety of what they think about or do, before they play. I mean, the best musicians are the ones that play from their heart as much as they can. People may have an intention. Like if you're writing a song, you might have an intention, but what's the song's about? And then you let the music and the words come to you. But no, they don't have a particular intention. Now, when I actually play for people in a sound bath, the intention is not mine, it's theirs. So when I play for individual people, when I play for a group, I have them set their own intention, and I don't even need to know what that is, because I'm just channeling the energy that comes off of them. So I don't have to know in my head, and I can still play, with linking their energy to the instruments. When I do individual people, I do talk to them about, where they're at in that particular day. These days, what I like to do is ask people, like, what do you want to let go of? Like, what do you want to have less of? And then also, what do you want to have more of? And so then I play, oftentimes for the two things.
Wow.
And they're not always opposites. Sometimes they're completely different. I mean, I played for somebody recently, and I think that they said what they wanted to get rid of was grief, and what they wanted more of was boundaries. So, but because sound healing will affect like your body and everything that your body does, and that includes your thoughts and your feelings, right? It also affects you spiritually or energetically. So really, you can heal, and the sounds will heal whatever people need to be healed. So the reason I've been playing with certain intentions all through these podcasts is just to show people all of the different kinds of things that you can actually play for.
And if you're playing for something that somebody doesn't need, let's say you're playing for anxiety. I think everyone has anxiety, some level. But if you're saying to yourself, I don't have an anxiety, I'm fine. Can they take away something from you playing?
Oh, for sure. Because when the sounds go like through your ears, into your body, those frequencies, they're going to heal whatever you need to heal. And it actually doesn't have very much to do with what you want to have healed. Because sometimes what you think you should heal, or what you want to have healed, isn't what your body and your mind is ready to let go of. And there may be something else. We were playing one time and you had a sore shoulder, and I forget what my intention was. I was playing for something completely different. But at the end of my playing, your shoulder felt a little better. Like you had less pain. So what happens is, I give people a chance to make an intention, because if they really are ready to have whatever that is that they say or think healed, then that, it will increase the potentiality of it, from the instruments. But, I play lots of times. I play groups, and everybody has a different thing, and I don't even know what their intentions are. And oftentimes when people are, talking about what they experienced, what they made their intention for wasn't actually what happened, but it was, some other part of their body or their mind or their feelings or something that got, I mean, it's always, people always get, especially if I play for half an hour or an hour, not so much in the 10 minutes, but even 10 minutes. I mean, when you play for 20 minutes, when you play a gong for 20 minutes, you can change people's red blood cells and white blood cells.
Wow. All right, Dad, I didn't know that.
You can increase the number of red blood cells, and you can change the red blood cells that are getting a bit wonky and out of shape. They go back into completely healthy round. That's like 20 minutes.
So we have time left. We always talk, and then we don't have enough time to play. So I'm going to ask you, what you playing for?
Well, today I'm going to play for moving people from sympathetic mode to parasympathetic mode. And that's what my instruments and my sound healing does all the time, to everybody, no matter what. But I think, like right now, so when you're the vagus nerve in your body, in your brain, it decides on whether, like, if there's danger, it moves you into sympathetic mode. And that's the, fight, flight, or freeze thing. And when everything is safe, it moves you into parasympathetic, where, you're relaxed. Everything is good. And that's where you can heal. You can't heal when you're in sympathetic mode. And frankly, my personal opinion is that probably everybody on the planet right now is stuck in sympathetic mode, because we've been in sympathetic mode for 4 years. Right. And when you stay in sympathetic mode, and it's connected to stress, right? So if you're stressed all the time, then your vagus nerve is keeping you in sympathetic mode all the time. And then after a while, your vagus nerve just kind of stops paying attention to whatever, like, because it doesn't have a job to do anymore because you're just still in sympathetic all the time. So it's a it's a way of waking up the vagus nerve, and allowing your body and your mind to feel what it's like, to remind you of what it's like to be in parasympathetic, where you're relaxed, your mind's relaxed, and your body's relaxed.
And it's been said that if you're in a stressful situation, take 3 very deep breaths, hold them in, let them out. And that's get you into parasympathetic mode, which is just a state of calm, like a reset button.
It does. Humming will also, if you hum with your mouth closed, that will also get you into parasympathetic because it creates nitrous oxide, the vibrations in your nasal cavity and your mouth cavity.
Is that also why some people do the om?
Yes. Om is one of the biggest sounds you can do for stimulating your vagus nerve.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Not everybody in the world has to come and have a sound bath with me. You guys can all just hum.
or hum along.
And it's awesome to do with kids because it helps kids to self-regulate, right?
Funny that memories come up when you hear things. So I wasn't super close with my dad, but he would say 3 things over and over: learn to read, breathe, and the humming sound. And I was an anxious kid. I got bullied and all of that. And I remember being in his car and him telling me that. And again, this is going back many years. And this is before I want to think that we were more metaphysical, maybe I don't know. I was a kid back then. I don't know. And it wasn't like he was an engineer in a plant. He wore a hard hat. It wasn't like
where did he get that idea?
Where did he get that? Yeah, it wasn't like he was a doctor and so and I remember that. I forgot that until you just said it. But he would always say, breathe, just breathe, breathe. Interesting. I'm gonna take a deep breath as everybody else is. And
I still have time to play?
Yes.
All right then.
You have about I'd say like 9 minutes, somewhere around there.
Okay, I'm gonna do a little more of a quickie one then.
Well, you got time.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So before I start, or as I'm starting, just take 3 deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And on the exhale for each one, the first breath, you can feel the stress and the tension in your body just starting to let go a bit. And on the second exhale, you can feel your thoughts just kind of floating down to the floor for a little rest. And on the third one, you can feel your emotions. Just stop swirling around and join your thoughts on the floor for a little rest. And now, enjoy. there we are.
It seemed a little quieter this time.
Interesting.
Or it's just me. I don't
No, it
know.
probably was.
Hmm.
Or
Yeah.
maybe you felt that it was quieter because you were getting relaxed, like you were moving from sympathetic to.
Yeah.
People move from sympathetic to parasympathetic in a sound bath pretty much in the first 5 minutes. And no matter how nervous they are or anxious they are or what. I mean, I had a group come one time that we were First Nations, and there were women who were doing really stressful work. And they had an older woman that came with them. And when they came in to do the sound bath, she looked at me and she patted my arm and she said, don't take this personally, dear, but I'm not gonna get relaxed, because I never get relaxed ever. But don't worry, it won't be your fault. I said, that's fine, okay. And then they were all in reclining chairs. And as I was explaining, which I do at the beginning of a sound bath with new people, how sound healing works, she started to snore. Like I hadn't even played anything. Hadn't played a single instrument. I was still talking, and she was like asleep. Like, I mean, not asleep, but she was in like parasympathetic mode.
Wow.
And she stayed in that for the whole time. I mean, and everybody else went in 5 minutes, but she went in before I started to play.
It's kind of funny. You're the one musician where it's okay if somebody falls asleep.
Snores, yeah.
Yeah. There's no disrespect.
No, and there's a lot of Facebook groups now of people and there's a gazillion people learning how to do sound healing now. I mean, compared to when I started like 15, 20 years ago. And there's all kinds of discussions in one of the forums that I'm in, and about like what happens when people snore and how do you stop them from snoring. And they've had people, they've supposedly had people telling them that they weren't coming back because somebody snored. But I mean, I've had people snore in every single sound bath I've ever done, and not once has anybody complained about it.
Wow.
Yeah. And I wouldn't try to wake somebody up when they're snoring, because to me, that is the biggest body sign that they've gone from sympathetic to parasympathetic.
But
that's what I want them to do.
It's still working because your subconscious is always listening. So they're still hearing. You're still hearing it.
Yeah. Well, you're like, when you're going into parasympathetic, and your body and your mind, like your mind's going into the alpha theta waves and your body's going into the parasympathetic mode, but you're not really asleep. Like the reason that you snore is because your body gets so relaxed that your vocal cords just kind of flap, right? And people in my sound baths have heard other people snoring, or they know that somebody's snoring. And the biggest comment that people would make after a sound bath would be, I realized that I heard that somebody was snoring, but I have no idea if it was me or somebody else. Because you can't even tell if it's you or not.
Yeah. I've never heard a report of me snoring ever in my life, except I had a Reiki session in person. I went with somebody else, and I was just relaxed, and I was out, and apparently I was snoring.
Yeah.
And to your point,
Reiki is energy medicine, the same way that sound healing is. It's working with, the frequencies and the energy that we're all made up of. So
for sure. That's why I mentioned it. Barb, how do we find you?
I'm on YouTube. You can watch like my podcasts on YouTube. So it's youtube.com/@barbsounds. And if you're interested in working with me, you can go to calendly.com/barbsounds and book a free consult for me.
Yeah.
With me.
It's okay. Fall asleep. You want great sleep? This is it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it'll make you sleep like a log, like somebody told me.
Yeah.
I slept like a log after, and I'm like, oh, good.
Yeah. That means you did your job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always great having you on here, Barb, and appreciate I needed the relaxation today. I needed to take it down a couple of notches. Lots going on. That was a nice
Yeah.
tap of the brakes. Just got to maintain that for the rest of the day.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you can
Appreciate it.
you can go on my YouTube and listen to the 10-minute, little sound baths we've been doing on the podcast any old time you want.
I might just do that even today because I have some work to take care of here. And a lot of times I'll put music on in the background. Might just do that. Thank you for that reminder.
Just take one of them and loop it, or just play the whole, like I have my playlist number 3 is like make your own sound bath. So you go on there and you just,
Oh, wow.
you can play the whole thing in the playlist, or you can choose specific ones, based on the different intentions that we've done.
Yeah,
Or you can just loop the
cool.
one you want. Yeah.
Yep. Appreciate that. That's what I'm going to do. Not even kidding.
No, I'll be interested next week to hear how that worked for you.
Yeah. Because you know what also happens too? When I get involved in listening to music while I'm working in the background, not doing a podcast, I keep changing the songs. Oh, I could listen to that. Oh, another song dropped in my head. I'm like a musical squirrel. I'm always like running all over the place. This forces me to just put it on in the background, set it, forget it, and feel the benefits. So for that, I thank you.
And it'll be interesting to see if you notice, if you listen to one or two, it'll be interesting to see if you stop noticing that it's ended.
Point. Yeah. All right. I appreciate it. Thanks. And we'll talk next time we get together.
No problem. See you
We'll
soon.
be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.